ngayon, 2 araw na lang, long weekend na naman.
Pero
Ay, may holiday sa
Wala
Monday.
pong pasok sa Monday.
walang pasok, pero may street lockdown. Yun yung bago ngayon, street lockdown. Sa
Ano yun?
Paranaque.
Sa Paranaque, sa
Sa
area.
Paranaque.
Yes.
Oo nga, no?
3
Let's
days.
ask the newsroom. Ami, sa newsroom niyo, ano yung top story niyo tomorrow?
Di yung mga yun na nga na imbis na region-wide or widespread community quarantine, puro barangay lockdown na lang. Kaya kasama na dyan nga yung nangyari sa Paranaque na street by street na ang ila-lockdown. Parang mas mahirap, di ba? Sasara you cannot leave your house. Parang mas mahirap siya, and 3 days yun straight na depende sa paano ko yung kapitbahay mo nagkaroon. Di lahat kayo sama-sama na.
Hindi, kaya nga kanina daw, nagdagsaan sa grocery. Nagdagsaan.
Ganun ba?
Yeah. Siyempre, nag-rush yung mga taong bumili ng essentials.
But at the same time, pinabayaan nilang magmisa daw ngayon sa Baclaran Church.
Talaga?
Miyerkules eh.
Miyerkules.
So, pinapacheck namin kung anong So, I guess kapareho nung sa iba na, madali naman sa simbahan, di ba? Lagyan mo nung tape, pwede naman eh. Kaya lang talaga napakaraming tao kapag ganon. Although dumaan ako kanina, wala namang masyadong tao sa Baclaran. Dire-diretso lang.
And typically it takes more people to enforce yung mga localized lockdowns than yung citywide lockdown eh. Kasi then you talk about deploying people to barangays eh. Entrances and exits.
Yun na nga. Yun ang magiging na lang daw. Saka yun din na hinihingi ng mga negosyante, di ba? Na ganyan lang.
Actually, ang pinag-uusapan ngayon yung sinasabi ni Duque na third wave na.
We are now in the second wave.
Nakalito. Hindi mo malaman kung ano ba to second wave kasi sinasabi niya that we're already in the second wave.
It really wasn't clear. He said yung first wave, he was referring to the start. No, basically
the three Chinese.
The first cases here, di ba? But that's an isolated moment. That's practically a snapshot at the very start, di ba?
Yeah.
So ito nga, parang nalito lahat ng tao. Parang, but di natin alam if this is just framing it to give us a sense of, well, hindi, actually, lampas na tayo sa second wave. Advance!
O baka mental step na, no? Na mukhang magta-third wave.
Yun. Warning.
Yeah.
And the other big story today is yung ni Joey Concepcion about the doctors.
Yes.
I believe may update na dyan si Ami. May update na yata si Ami before we get to
Nag-apologize na siya. Nag-apologize si Joey Concepcion just tonight. Kasi mga frontliners yung nagkikriticize sa kanya. Sabi niya, first of all, I would like to put on record that I have nothing but the utmost gratitude and admiration for the doctors and frontliners who continue to do a great service for our country during this crisis. So alam din naman niya.
Okay. Hindi naman niya sinabing out of context siya kasi yung ibang tao na out of context daw.
Kaya sabi niya, we have a common enemy. Sabi niya.
Well, it's good that he apologized and relatively quickly. I mean, that was really not constructive at all. So buti na rin. But I think what that illustrates is that the tension is really boiling over between what we're trying to balance here, the public health on the one side, and on the other side, the business and economy that the people and managers are really trying to. I think that's where the exasperation was coming from. Unfortunately, that came out. But like we said, buti na lang he said that we can then move on and talk about it in terms of this tension that is facing all of us between the public health concerns on the one hand and the real need to start opening up our economy.
Yeah.
Ang bagal pa rin no? We're still at 11,000 a day. That's like less than the half of the third.
Yeah, the target is 30,000 a day.
The target. Yeah.
Well, end of the month yung 30,000, maliit pa rin yun actually, di ba? 30,000.
Yeah.
Considering our population.
I mean, you have to reach 2 million, di ba? 2% of the population eh. Kailan kakapot doon? Diba?
And then in the meantime, another big story, probably not in time para sa dyaryo ngayong umaga, Ami, but of course yung pag-clear at pag-defend ni President Duterte kay NCRPO
Yeah.
Chief Deputy Sinas. I mean,
Oo nga.
General Sinas is now saying he's ready to move on, but not to be snide about it. But I mean, I think a more fundamental question here is how that development and the perception of the public of a double
Yes.
standard is going to play out on the barangay level. You can
Yeah.
imagine, maraming magsasagutan at mangungutya at manunumbat na, I mean, baka naman, at the very least, baka naman pwedeng, the consideration can be there as well.
In fact,
yung credibility ng police. Lalo na, fresh pa in our minds. Remember what happened to the condo in BGC? How the cops just barged in and reprimanded everybody.
Never mind the condos. I mean, yung condos. But yung mga tao,
ordinary people.
Kasi yun may video. No? So,
last night nga
parang, ba't galit na galit kayo? Grabe kayo magalit. Yung pala, kayo rin pala, you tend to be lenient among yourselves. Diba?
Diba last night?
Okay, since we're talking about that, let's bring in our guest na. Kasi our guest can also talk. Our guest tonight, who was supposed to be our guest last night as well, can also talk about that. Di ba? Let's bring in si Interior Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, who is now waiting in the wings. Usec, ayun, yun sir. Naku, mukhang mas maganda ngayon ang connection natin.
Last night was really difficult, disaster internet-wise. So,
but you're using the same connection.
May rapid pass na ngayon ang internet nyo.
Yeah, because I was in another house last night. I had to go to another place, and I was just using their internet. So I tried turning it on in other people. Talagang wala. So I just told Marian na thank you for the invitation, but there's no way.
May pinunta kayong manyanita kagabi.
Manyanita umaga yun.
May pinunta kayong manyanita.
Manyanita sa gabi.
I hope may pinuntahan ako, but no, I wasn't in any manyanita.
Pero
Usec, hindi naman. Nagkakatsawan lang tayo. But let's just an opening na for the discussion. Let's start with that because you are with the DILG. What they say to the public. The public, really, I think it's fair to say, is really quite disappointed that they feel that there's no sense of accountability. They feel there's a double standard here. They remember kung gaano katindi ang action ng ating mga opisyales, mga pulis, mga barangay captain, pagka may mga nahuhuli sa labas ng bahay. And yet you get this and basically not even a slap on the wrist.
Well, on the part of the DILG, we have condemned this already. Secretary Eduardo Año himself called this a big no-no, and he said that it is not allowed because this is, part of the quarantine prohibitions that we are under. And we also, the Philippine National Police has also filed criminal cases already against General Sinas. So the decision of the president, however, is a different matter altogether. No, I cannot answer for him. We will have to ask the presidential spokesperson on what went through the mind of the president. But insofar as the DILG is concerned, the secretary already made a statement. This is a big no-no. This is not allowed. And it is not a good example because,
Dalawa po yung sinabi nyo, the condemnation, and then you also said the criminal cases and administrative cases that have been filed. Tuloy po ba yung kaso na yun?
Yes, tuloy po yun. Because what the president mentioned is that he would not relieve Sinas because Sinas is a presidential appointee, therefore he would not relieve him. But the criminal cases will proceed. Because the criminal cases are different from the administrative cases, which Sinas,
Pero Usec, in the end, it's the admin case that would move faster, and it's the admin case that's actually within the prerogative of the executive to act on unilaterally. Wala ka nang kailangang hintayin na korte o piskal pag admin case. you could do as you wish if you are head of the executive. So that also brings up the other question na anong impact sa credibility po ng enforcement ng DILG yung sinabi ng Pangulo kagabi. Ang sabi ng Pangulo, the law is the law is the law. Tapos pero at the same time sabi mo the law is the law, sa akin na yun, it's my responsibility. And doon pinagbigyan na niya si Sinas. What effect would that have on your enforcement?
Yeah, again, I cannot speak for the president. No, he has a spokesperson. Better if spokesperson Harry Roque explained to the public the decision-making process that the president went through in making this decision. Basta kami po sa DILG, we already made a statement. We already made clear our position on this, that it would not be good for public officials, whether they are police officers or whether they are local government officials, because around this time na may manyanita si General Sinas, there was also another one, a mayor in Pangasinan, who also did his own. And we also issued a no-cost order against that same mayor. So we do not tolerate these types of actions, and we will put to the public that if you do something like this, you will either face an administrative case or a criminal case.
And
Yung
the
mga
police
iba ba-
officer sa Pangasinan,
Yes,
was
din ba yun?
and kagabi, habang kiniklear si General Sinas, merong fisherman na nirelease after 11 days of detention for just crossing from Caloocan to Navotas to buy fish na ibebenta niya kasi wala daw siyang ID at wala siyang quarantine pass. Di ba iisipin ng mga tao, bakit naman ganun yung ating pag-enforce? Aren't you worried na maaapektuhan yung pag-i-enforce natin ng quarantine rules? Because even health officials are saying baka magkaroon tayo ng third wave or in the second wave. We still need a lot of public cooperation. How will you explain this? Paano kapag yung mga police nyo challenge? Because the police is under the DILG. That's why we keep nagging about this, no?
Yes.
Paano kung gano'n na sabihin nyo, magmamanyanita lang kami sa garahe namin, bakit nyo kami ginaganito?
Yeah, tungkol ho doon sa fisherman, no, yung ako hindi siya fisherman, yes, parang kukuha siya ng fish vendor, para tungkol sa fish vendor. We're already investigating that when that story came out. And ang pinagtataka rin namin, kami rin po, no? Kasi we do not, these are individual decisions made by individuals who are part of the Philippine National Police as they go about their business, their daily business. We were also surprised kung bakit hinuli itong matandang ito, tapos wala nang nakaalam kung anong nangyari sa kanya. Siya pala ay detained doon sa Navotas Fish Complex Police Station. Yeah. And ako din nagtataka din na ang in-inquest siya. Why would you inquest such a person? Pinagtaka ko din kung bakit nag-resist ba yung matanda, kasi he doesn't look like a person who would resist arrest, no? Yeah. So kasi ang lagi namin sinasabi sa kapulisan, and the records will bear, the vast majority of our people are not detained. The vast majority are just warned. Winawarningan lang sila. And then, umuwi kayo. And they go about their way, umuwi na sila. But if di sila umuwi and di sila sumunod, that's the time that they are inquested. They are detained. And most of the time, fina-fine lang sila. So, again, based on the records that we have seen, these are isolated cases. Hindi po ito ang polisiya ng ating pamahalaan. And we are taking a good look at this issue. Bakit hinuli ng pulis? Nag-resist ba? At kung nag-resist, bakit siya pinulong? At bakit in-inquest? Bakit umabot ng ganun? Bakit tumagal? That's what we're looking at right now. We are as alarmed as you are.
Usec, are there cases where the DILG or the National Police have disciplined and penalized authorities that were found to have abused their discretion?
I don't have the records right now, but for example, during the shooting incident in Quezon City, where the police officer killed a veteran or Marawi veteran or a former serviceman of the Philippine Army, pinasuhan po namin ng criminal cases yung ating kapulisan. Okay. We do not tolerate this at every instance na alam namin, but of course we have to know. At every instance.
Yeah, but I asked because the incidences go beyond even just violence and incarceration. Some policemen and some barangay officials have taken it on their own to determine what is libel. have taken it on their own, determine what is defamatory and what is a state security matter. I'm talking about those things as well. I mean, maraming authorities at the local levels who are using the current situation as really as something to clamp down even on dissent.
Yes, yes, Robbie. I hear what you're saying, but again, these are individual actions of people, uh, of police officers. No, these are not policies of the government. And even in any
Yes,
large
I understood. Which is
in
why
any
ang
large
tanong ko lang po is,
organization, you will always
ang
have
tanong ko lang po is, may
that.
opportunity ba to discipline them and to send the message that we have to be more circumspect and we also have to be more disciplined in implementing this? So that's why I was asking, do we have those reports of authorities being disciplined when they overstep and when they overreach?
I'm sure there is. And if you know of any incident where police officers overstep their authority, you let us know, and we will act accordingly.
Sir, I suppose we should point out yung kasong sinasabi ni Robbie. Yung nagsalita kasi dito yung Caraga Regional Police Chief pa eh. Nagsampa sila ng kasong libel against a salesman who allegedly libeled the president and Senator Bongo. So the complainants are not even the people who were supposed to have been libeled. At ang nagsalita rito po yung Regional Police Chief ng Caraga. That's pretty high up po. It's not some policeman sa presinto.
What was the case about? Sorry, I'm not very familiar with what the...
It was a social media post.
Social media post. It was in Bisaya, pero ang translation po niya is basically he called the president and Senator Bongo crazy and asshole sa kanyang Facebook account. Ayun po. Dahil doon si Brigadier General Celito Esquivel said the arrest serves as a reminder to netizens that they should be responsible. Nagsampa po sila ng cyber libel. And yung nagsampa po yung pulis, hindi po yung pangulo, hindi po si Bongo.
Yes, I cannot speak about these issues right now because I'm not really familiar with the facts. But
yes, sir, we understand po.
But let me show you one incident about that editor of UE Don who was charged by his high school teachers for libel. For criticizing the president. I criticized the government's response to COVID. No? The DILG took a very firm step that the UE Don editor did not do anything wrong. Criticizing government is not a crime. There's the rule of law, and we will defend his right to exercise his constitutional right to express his public opinion. And we made it very clear, and we told the police that we will not allow them to file cases against individuals simply because they criticize government. And when we looked at the case, very clear, when we looked at the case, the facts of the case, lumalabas na hindi naman pala police yung nag-file ng kaso doon. It was the teacher. Nagkasagutan sila sa Facebook. The teacher went to the barangay, and government had nothing to do with it. It was a private case. No? So, ang sinasabi ko lang dito, we are a large country. It's 106 million Filipinos. There will always be 1 or 2 or 3 who will not follow government policy. When we know that the police has overstepped their bounds, ipaalam niyo po sa amin, we will act on it accordingly.
Okay. Sir, maiba. Alam niyo naman siguro na yung naging reaction ng publiko dito sa modified ECQ ay sobrang dagsa sa mga mall, sa mga public markets. So, you've been quoted as saying, or was it you who said that these are just birthing pains? Ano ang assessment ninyo?
Yes, kanina po, I spoke with General Licop, who is with the Directorate for Operations of the Philippine National Police sa Campo Crame. And yesterday, we also had a dialogue with the security officers of all the malls, the major malls in the country. It was a mixed virtual conference, and some were present in Campo Crame. And we reiterated to them the rules that must be followed sa mga malls. Because the secretary already said that if the mall is not following DTI guidelines and quarantine protocols, the PNP or the local government unit can close them immediately. Okay, so maliwanag po yung naging pamantayan doon to limit, for example, to limit the number of entrances and exits. And pag entrance lang. Pag exit lang. Number 2, yung sa elevators. Okay? Elevators must only be used by the PWDs or senior citizens. Okay? And then sa escalators din, 2 steps ang pagitan. So all of these policies have been reiterated to the different malls, and they are now being followed. Yung monitoring po namin ngayong araw maayos. There hasn't been any overcrowding in the malls today.
So,
We have to understand, people were stuck in their homes for 2 months. So nagkaroon ng parang, hi, I'm free. Okay? So we adjusted accordingly. And to get with the cooperation of the malls, I think we will have a more smoother implementation of the quarantine protocols as we move forward.
but what about other places like public markets, checkpoints, ang daming motorsiklo sa lansangan, punong-puno, sir. Anong balak natin dyan?
Yeah, but we should expect that already because we practically opened some 80% of all businesses across the country. Especially in MECQ areas, because yung ating pong ekonomiya has been contracting and we have lost some 2 to 3 trillion already according to the NEDA. So we cannot stop businesses because government revenues are down. It has plummeted. Our people are suffering also from the quarantine policy. So government had to make that decision to go MECQ. So wag na po tayo magtaka kung madaming tao sa kalsada because we have reopened businesses already under MECQ.
Are you, Usec, are you working on more specific guidelines? Kasi nadagdagan ngayong araw, nadagdagan yung PNP ng task. You will be part of the distribution of aid. Tapos, kayo din ang tutulong ng pag-enforce ng pag-enforce ng quarantine. Tutulungan niyo yung mga shopping malls. Do you think you need to fine-tune your rules para makascade sa mga forces nyo para maiwasan na yung mga kapareho ng case ng fish vendor o yung nabaril dun sa yung nabaril na army corporal? Are you working on something like this? Are you fine-tuning your guidelines?
Yes, we are constantly we are constantly fine-tuning our guidelines. We're just lucky that the Philippine National Police Chief is a lawyer himself, no? Si General Archie Gamboa. So he knows the limits of police authority. So we're constantly adjusting. Tama po yun, we will now be assisting the other part of the DILG kasi our LGOOs who assist the LGUs are already part of the SAP distribution. But the other side, which is the interior, which is the interior in the DILG, will now also assist in distributing the SAP. Pero yung distribution po ng SAP namin, ma'am, is simply limited to frontline areas. Hindi naman po kayanin ng ating kapulisan, especially in highly urbanized cities, to be the one to do that physical distribution. Actually, our police is already there during the distribution, doing security, doing peace and order issues. Pero ang sabi po ng Pangulo, tumulong. Ang pinag-uusapan namin ngayon is doon sa mga isla, mga bundok, tutulong na po ang ating kapulisan at ating military.
Ano naman po ang magiging papel ng mga LGU, lalo na sa pagse-set up ng mga quarantine, tsaka testing? Paano po natin mapapabilis ang proseso?
Napakahalaga po ng tungkulin ng ating local government units because the National Action Plan talks about nationally enabled, locally led strategy to defeat COVID-19. So lahat po ng T3s from test, treat, lahat po yan nasa LGU level karamihan. Yung tracing, so contact tracing is LGU level. That's the police, the chief of police, and the MESU or SESU, the epidemiological surveillance unit of every LGU. Kasama po dyan ang Bureau of Fire and the BERTs of the barangays. That's their role in contact tracing. Sa testing, ganun din po. Many of our local government units already have MOAs with the Philippine National Red Cross, with Medical City, with St. Luke's for the testing. And they are also doing rapid testing for various businesses who are asking for that for their employees and for frontliners.
Pero
LGU,
saan kinukuha ang resources, sir? Kasi parang ang baba pa ng levels. We're still at 11,000 a day, which is a far cry from the 30,000 na goal.
dalawa pong klase yung ating testing, right? The first is the rapid antibody test, which is
Yes.
readily available, and a lot of people are doing it. Okay.
Okay.
The other one is
And
the PCR test,
PCR.
which is the gold standard. Doon po tayo sa
Yes.
the PCR test nahihirapan, but since Secretary Vince took over, there has been a significant increase, no? Nung pumasok siya, nasa 5,000 pa lang tayo at that time. Now we are now at 11,000 a day. And we will have 60 laboratories online by the end of this month. And once we have those 60 laboratories in line, every region of the country will have their own lab test. Will have their own hospital offering PCR test. So malapit na po yun, konting pihit na lang. We will reach our goal.
But how far are
So-
we from the 2% na target na tested population?
Oh, that's a very difficult question to answer, ma'am. I'm
Yeah, kasi 2 million di ba?
I'm not
So-
with the team of Secretary Vince Dizon. Maybe it's best if you answer him. Pero I don't know if we really want to test 2.4. Is that the goal? I have
Yes, 2%.
2% because that's a large number of the population that we would want to test. But if we hit the 30,000 tests a day, I would think we will be able to reach that target.
Okay. Sir, but as far as the DILG is concerned, once MECQ na tayo, and then once we have these targeted quarantines na hindi na wholesale the entire city or the entire of Metro Manila, do our barangays already know what that will mean? And do our cities and our barangay officers, are they all prepared? And malinaw po ba yung protocols on those levels?
Okay. That's part of our entire strategy that rather than do ECQ for the entire Metro Manila, we can do localized ECQs. Okay? Localized lockdowns. And kanina po, yan yung pinagmitingan namin in Camp Aguinaldo with the World Health Organization. Because right now, the LGUs have the authority to do their own lockdowns. But they decide on how many cases should be in a certain area, a sitio or a barangay, before they can lock down. And they also decide on how long the lockdown will be. And they are asking government, they're asking the NTF COVID, what are the thresholds that must be followed by the barangays if they wish to impose the lockdown. At yun po yung fina-finalize namin with the World Health Organization and the Department of Health. We're looking at if there are 5 to 10 cases in a barangay, then mag-lockdown sila. No? Kasi right now, we respected local autonomy and allowed them to make these decisions on their own. But since sila naman ang lumalapit sa amin, we will now start issuing guidelines for them. Kasi when you talk about localization, there's a critical zone and then there's a buffer zone outside it. It's the critical zone that you lock down. Now, it can be a sitio, a building, a condominium, or it can be the entire barangay or a street. Now, when you do that, you have to have the food ready, you have to have the distribution system ready, and you have to have PPEs ready. So we're listing down all of these guidelines so that the barangays would know what to do.
Sir, pag-usapan naman natin yung second tranche ng SAP. Ano na tayo ron? Kasi parang 97% lang ang na-distribute dun sa unang tranche. Tama po ba?
Yes. 98 na po tayo. Okay?
Okay.
And lahat ng mga mabagal na LGUs ay inisyohan na namin ng show cause order. At noong inisyohan namin sila ng show cause order, bumilis yung kanilang pamimigay. Okay?
Okay. Tinakot.
Alright. And ito pong naiiwan ng mga lugar na ito, as of yesterday, ito yung mga malalayong isla-isla. Because remember, we're not just giving the aid to people in the poblacion or the people in highly urbanized cities. We're giving aid all over the country. So, ito na po yung mga naiiwang lugar, no? And ang nakakatuwa naman, madami nang nagsasauli din. Nagsasauli dahil na doble sila. Ang nangyari po kasi niyan, nagkasabay-sabay. They were waiting for the SAP. So while waiting for the SAP, nag-apply sa DOLE. And then many of their employers also applied for them doon sa SSS, doon sa Small Business Wage Program. So,
Sir, sinong mananagot pagka nagdoble tapos hindi binalik? Sinong nananagot, Mayor?
well, mahirap po. It's difficult to point blame here, no? Because first and foremost, it was the employer who was the one who applied doon sa Small Business Wage Program. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, dito naman sa SAP, yung iba 4-piece beneficiaries, nag-stack pa rin. You know?
Yes.
So, ang trabaho ngayon ng DSWD is to clean up the list. Clean up the list so that the second tranche, hindi na mabigyan itong mga nadodobling ito.
All right. Okay.
Sir, before we let you go, let me squeeze in one more topic. A couple of days ago, the Inquirer ran a story that appears to directly involve you. Sabi ng Inquirer story that the DILG has directed the regional offices and supporters to continue gathering 2 million signatures to back amendments to the Constitution. Yung cha-cha. The only difference now is that from physical signature campaign, it's now being done online. Opo. So, well, kayo raw po yung pumima ng May 11 memo.
Tsaka fake news daw. Fake news. Ano ba talaga? Fake ba yun o totoo?
Actually, when I woke up this morning, I read that the Inquirer had a very vicious personal editorial against me. No, the Inquirer called this campaign of the DILG as pointless, alus, diba? Malaya has too much time in his hands, outrageously skewed priorities, indictment of DILG sneaky, deplorable politicking at this time of pandemic. So, gusto ko lang clarify. Number one, we are not campaigning for Chacha. Chacha is revision of the Constitution, maybe federalism or maybe a change in the system of government. And we already have gone beyond that. No? The DILG is now advocating for constitutional reform or CORE. And what is CORE? CORE is surgical amendments to the Constitution. And we have already submitted our recommendations to Congress. So what we're doing is not entirely our own. It is in cooperation with Congress as directed by the President when the President made us head of the Task Force Constitutional Reform. So, nung sinabi ng Inquirer na what we're doing is Chacha, doon nagsabi si Secretary na there's a difference between Chacha and CORE. These are like night and day, heaven and hell. And our friends from the Inquirer should have, taken pains to research, before they release that story. Kaya si Secretary Anyo responded that way. And then here comes this editorial, which looks like a personal attack on the DILG as an institution and on myself because I wrote that memo. Let me make clear, ma'am, na we at DILG are 100% focused on COVID. And alam naman po yan, only Inquirer does not know. Almost every day nga, nagpapaliwanag po kami. No? Explain to the public any and everything. SAP, MECQ, CQ, lahat po ng pinag-usapan natin. From January up to now, all we do is CORE. All we do is COVID. But going back to CORE was our campaign prior to COVID, and we did set a target of 2 million signatures. But because COVID na, wala na. So our CSO partners asked us if they could do online signature campaign, and we allowed them. So the CSOs are the ones doing the online signature campaign. What I do not understand is what is wrong with doing an online signature campaign on an issue which is fundamental to the Filipino people. Like, we're all Filipino citizens here. We have a stake on the Constitution. So what is wrong with discussing amendments to the Constitution when in fact the goal of CORE is regional empowerment? And the pandemic today has shown that if we have uneven regional development, government suffers because if NCR, for example, is hit by a pandemic, the entire country goes to a standstill. We must.
Usec, unfortunately, we don't have that much time. But if I could just interject very quickly to the question of what's so bad about that, it's not so much that as I think the timing, because it's sort of contradictory to what you said. Na we assure you, we are 100% focused on COVID because yan lang dapat talaga pinagtutuunan natin ng pansin ngayon. And then on the other hand, any indication that we're talking about anything else, and among other things, the Constitution, it is a distraction, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. Because it is the mandate of the DILG to push for this. It is our mandate. No, it was given to us by the president when in his first SONA. The president issued a memorandum circular making us the lead agency. Congress appropriated funds for it. So it's part of the role of the DILG. Now, if we were spending all our time just doing core to the detriment of our anti-COVID efforts, then you can call us, di ba? You can call our attention. But is this online signature campaign by our CSO organizations affecting our performance? I don't know. If it starts affecting our performance, then the public or whoever can, di ba, can criticize us, no?
Kasi sinabi niyo raw kasi na back burner muna.
Exactly.
Diba? Sabi niyo back burner muna. So parang nagtataka sila, bakit kayo naglabas ng online email saying, go ahead and do this signature campaign.
Yeah, because ma'am, our CSO partners ask us if they
So
can.
hindi kayo ang nag-push.
Hindi kami,
Parang
ma'am.
ganun.
Okay. The Filipino people know that we are on the forefront. You do not see our police officers campaigning for constitutional reform. You do not see our local government operations officers going out. You do not see the jail officers, the fire officers campaigning. You do not see me campaigning. I have not mentioned constitutional reform on this online thing and publicly. This is being done by our civil society organization partners. That is why this is fake news. And ang medyo masama lang para sa amin is that nagtatrabaho na nga kami full-time sa COVID, and then there will be an editorial coming from Inquirer which is so vicious na parang ano ba kayo? Hindi ba kayo nag-iisip? Di ba? Di ba kayo nag-iisip? Parang lumalabas, ang tanga-tanga naman namin sa DILG. With all due respect, wag naman ganun. Because the reason why we're pushing for constitutional amendments is precisely because these are the types of amendments that we need for our country to be successful in the long term, to address pandemia. What's the package of reforms under core? More internal revenue allotment for local government units, regional development councils. No, it's not federalism, it's regional development councils. It's anti-political dynasty and anti-political turncoatism. Okay. And then the last is opening up the economy to foreign investment by removing the restrictive economic provisions of the Constitution.
The economic
those are the only issues that we're pushing for. And those are the issues that we must discuss. Because these are the issues that are in our Constitution that is limiting our country from spreading economic development across our great country.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, sir. We hope to have you back again to talk about that specifically, but maybe some other time.
So long as the internet connection is okay.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Usec Jonathan Malaya ng DILG. Always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, sir.
Salamat po.
Thank you and good night.
We will just pause for a break, so please stay with us.
Good evening.
Hi, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Andy, Lucy, Robbie.
Napahaba yung unang segment eh.
Ang linaw ng ano nyo ng reception sa inyo
Akin to, no? Ako to?
Ikaw.
Okay, sige.
Sige, game na.
Game.
1 minute. $30. 20. 10. Welcome back, the Chiefs. We're now in the final stage of our conversation for this episode. Let's shift topics to business. Economies all over the world have been upended by measures to fight COVID-19. And the challenge, of course, for businesses is how to weather this virus-borne storm. To talk us about how food-based businesses can find their way into a post-COVID environment, we have Resto Coach founder Rommel and Advent Manila Hospitality Group CEO Andy Masigan. Rommel, Andy, welcome to the Chiefs.
Hello, Robbie. Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Let me start with Rommel. Rommel, let me start with you, and it's going to be the same question for you, Andy. So a quick assessment lang muna. I won't ask what the new normal is. What's the current normal for the food industry? See, Rommel, you're involved with a number of restaurants and food chains. Andy, you operate your own restaurants as well. What's the current normal?
Well, Ravi, thanks for having me on the show. No, maraming salamat for having us today. As you said, we operate a chain of restaurant called Buffalo Swings and Things. And for now, we're trying to just reopen more branches weekly. No, we have now opened 25 branches, going to 30 maybe tomorrow and until Friday. No? So we open Thursdays and Fridays. So we're trying to reopen stores, and it's only delivery and carry out for now. So yun yung current normal for us. It's only delivery and carry out. And even with the mall opening, it's medyo tumaas ang konti yung carry out, but it's mostly delivery pa rin.
Andy, very quickly, you're slightly different category of restaurants, but talk about your business. I mean, how is it doing now?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm in the fine dining and casual dining category. So we operate 31 restaurants, of which at the moment we have 3 open and 10 open by June 1. The situation is very bleak. We're all experiencing an existential crisis. We really don't know. We're living day by day. It's been very difficult 2 months because, as you know, there hasn't been any substantial revenues coming in while the obligations are continuous. So that has put a very hard strain on our cash position for the most part. No, most players in the industry.
Rommel, who is benefiting from? People assume na, deliveries, okay, at least deliveries, dire-diretso lang. But is that enough for your business, or is there a way to parse the business going through the delivery system?
Well, what's happening right now is a sudden shift. No, like in our case, we were like 70% to 80% dine-in prior to COVID. So we're in the category of casual dining, but more on the fun casual, no, smaller footprint. But nonetheless, if you take away 80% of the business, so 70% of the business, you could just imagine that the transition or the shift. No, so yung business model namin altogether, we had to streamline the menu and change our P&L. No, talagang binusisi lahat ulit from food cost. But the hardest part is revenue generation. And unknown to a lot of people, especially the customers, marami part ng revenue namin goes to delivery commissions also. Because most of the deliveries, about 60 to 70% of the deliveries that we get are from the aggregators. Yung GrabFood, Foodpanda, no? And they've set up the infrastructure, and of course they operate it, no? But a lot, your commission rate is very high. That's why we need to, sabi ko nga kanina, we had to adjust our whole profit and loss statement and the business model itself.
So seeing all this happening, no, I mean, I don't think there'll be much change in the coming months. Siguro going into Christmas, dahil wala pa tayong vaccine, wala pa tayong cure, and palagay ko babawalan pa rin yung dine-in, puro delivery lang. Are you expecting layoffs, downsizing, reduction in your operations in the coming months?
Shall I answer that?
Go ahead, Andy.
I think for the most part, most of my colleagues in the food industry have already been downsizing. As a matter of fact, in our company, we've it was, like I said, it's a case of it's an existential crisis, and we really have to cut costs in order to survive. So our labor force, look, our restaurant typically has about 80 people. In my business model, we have 80 people. Without dining business, you don't need the waiters, you don't need the bar attendants, you don't need the hostesses. So what you do, right? It's frivolous and an unnecessary burden for the entire company to carry the wages of these people if they have no role in the foreseeable future in the next 6 months. So the painful truth is that we really have been laying off people, and not only me, but across the industry. And just to give you an idea of how severe the cuts are, I know of certain chains, and mine included, who have reduced their staff by more than 50%, and that's normal, huh?
Oh, wow.
50%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Just
heavy.
mind you,
So susunod
but
sa
this-
labor, what would be the overhead that's most challenging?
two factors. One is rent, and one is payroll.
Yes.
Rent constitutes about 15% of gross sales, and payroll or labor costs should constitute about 20 to 23%. So labor is the biggest chunk of it.
Right.
Of the cost of goods sold. I just want to reiterate something. I think government should really think about not disallowing the dine-in aspect of our business. Because in other countries they've allowed dine-in, but with the proper spacing of customers. Without dine-in, as Rommel said, no, 70% of our business is from dine-in sales. And if you take that away, there's no other choice but to downsize staff, and some restaurants will really not make it. And we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Kaya lang, Andrew, hindi ko lang ma-imagine how you can observe social distancing when you're around a table for four and you're not wearing masks because you're eating. How do you manage that?
Well, we model ourselves after restaurants in Singapore and in Europe who
How do
have
they do it?
1 seat apart.
Yeah.
They do it 1 seat apart, which is a little bit awkward, though. But even that, Luchi, 1 seat apart reduces our restaurant capacity by 50%.
Yeah.
That.
Yes.
So even if we don't do a
exactly.
whole turn, we're lucky just to break even, and that's with
Okay.
dining. Can you imagine
Yeah.
without? No. Yeah.
How
So
would you
I wanna.
But that might be workable with restaurants that are relatively big. I wonder
Yeah.
lang how many restaurants are that big that you can have people sitting 1 seat apart versus
That's
yung mga
right.
restaurant na talagang parang hole in the wall lang, di ba? Who
Paano
was it
may
yesterday was
karinderya?
saying na
Yeah.
ano, oo, yung mga ganun, na mga
Karinderya.
90% of
Yeah, wala
MSMEs,
You know what?
di ba? So
Actually,
what numbers are we looking at?
I have the exact numbers. Luckily, based on the 2017 census, there's 11,400 dine-in restaurants and cafeterias. 11,400, and those that cater only to quick takeout, like counters, like kiosk and counters, they're only 3,700. So talagang the greater majority are dine-in restaurants. And mind you,
Okay.
collectively, this sector employs 490,000 Filipinos, no? So that's 2% of the workforce.
Yeah.
Pamilya.
Rommel, I wanted to jump on something that you mentioned. Ang taas ng porsyento na nababanggit mo about, you call them the aggregators. We know them as Grab, Food Panda, ito yung mga in-betweeners na nagde-deliver sa atin. They don't own the restaurants, but they facilitate bringing the food to us and bringing the orders to you. You're talking about having to change your business models. Given the math involving as well the aggregators, are you saying that even if you were to reinvent a restaurant to be an all takeout and all delivery thing, given the dynamics with aggregators, it may even actually suggest that even the restaurants themselves that can do 100% delivery will not necessarily be making the revenue to sustain themselves?
Yes, exactly. No, that's why the safe bet is actually to number one is not to assume that there will be dining transactions. Yung sinasabi kanina ni Andrew, I agree with him. No, na of course there's number one, there's the regulation of the government, but even if you open it up for dining, napakahirap talagang magkaroon ng dining. So ang ginawa namin is that the profit and loss statement now is assuming na wala talagang dine-in. No, your business model should work without dine-in until a vaccine is discovered and made available. Now, having said that, with the delivery commissions being 20 to 30%, no, kami medyo nasa low end pa kasi medyo marami ring branches. I think that's where the government can also help, no. I know the aggregators, they have of course set up the infrastructure, but the awareness of people will importante na malaman natin that the aggregators as stakeholders need to also do their share. Similar to how the malls lowered their rent and made it straight percentage for until the quarantine is lifted and until the situation gets better. I think there's something that can be done at that on that aspect. You also have to remember marami ring mga bagay na dapat pag-usapan pagdating sa aggregators, like yung data. Data is owned by the aggregators. So what will stop them from competing with the restaurants, lalo ngayon na panahon ng crisis? So, as Andrew said earlier, and that's what's pointed out, napakalaki ng bahagi ng restaurant industry to as an SME. In fact, kaya nga kami essential services eh. Di ba? We had the obligation and responsibility to decongest the supermarkets, to decentralize food distribution, provide access and convenience. Kaya dapat, I think, yung suporta ng tao dun sa restaurant industry para makapag-provide ng jobs. You're talking about OFWs from, the cruise ships, the restaurants abroad na umuwi. And maganda sana kung masasalo ng restaurant industry yan, kung masusuportahan kami.
Kumusta po yung supply chain naman ninyo? Kasi nagka-problema din dati sa delivery, even with food, di ba? Packaging, parang pinaghiwa-hiwalay nila yung food, yung other aspects of providing food. Kumusta naman ngayon? Is it improving or what? Getting worse?
That's correct, Amy. In the first few weeks of the ECQ, we really had problems, lalo lang na yung mga stores namin outside Metro Manila, no? They were subject to checkpoints and all. But now it's been sorted out. Okay na yung delivery and logistics chain namin. So that's not an issue at the moment.
Okay. Are you looking to government for some maybe tax relief or any kind of assistance?
Well, government is offering not loans, but they're offering guarantees through field guarantee, for even up to large scale businesses. So we can apply, but it's still through the banking channels. So we still have to negotiate with our respective banks.
What has been the behavior of the banks here? Are they helpful? Are they more liberal, or are they also tending to be stricter?
Well, my banks are still evaluating my application, so I don't want to talk. but
curious ako. I mean, apart from the social distancing, I mean, Rommel, Andy, both of you do mentorship as well with your fellow entrepreneurs. Both of you do mentorship as well and consultancies for other restaurants. I'm just curious, sa iba-ibang style ng restaurants, other than social distancing, just the thought and the threat of COVID, what categories of restaurants do you see are really going to have a hard time, if not an impossible time, navigating this time that lahat tayo paranoid about getting infected and so on? Obviously, first example in mind is buffets and so on. But what other categories do you see will really have a hard time in the new normal?
Well, I would say yung mga matataas yung average spend, no? Yung and number two, yung mga items na hindi magandang quality for delivery. So yun yung dalawang mga bagay na i-consider ng mga customers now, no? Because of course, primary concern is safety, no? That's where the brand comes in also. Yung trust ng tao, napakahalaga ngayon, where to order, ano yung mga madidepende yan. Because you don't have the usual interaction of dine-in na pwede kang andun yung manager, you can have something done for a complaint, no? It's, the interaction is very different for delivery. So I guess yun yung dalawang bagay, no? Yung matataas ang average check at saka yung pangalawa, yung mga mahirapan yung quality pag dinideliver.
Ako curious ako sa menu. How does this change your menu? I suppose wala na yung mga ice cream. Ang hirap kasi i-deliver noon, no? At saka yung mga desserts, wala na yon, I suppose.
Di lang yun. Sabi, eto, si Rommel, nagkukwentuhan kami the other day. He said, two big money makers, I mean, maybe you could talk to this also, Andy, rice and also drinks. And now when people order at home, magsasayang na lang ako sa sarili ko, and meron naman akong drinks. So restaurants lose that as well. Could you speak to that, Andy?
Yeah, correct. Okay. The menus, first the menus. Now the menus have been cut, slashed to bare bones. The reason is we have to maximize labor costs. So if we have 4 people in the kitchen, then our menu should be suitable, can be workable for 4 people only. Whereas before we could have 7 people, 8 people, and we'd have 30 items in our menu. Okay, just to give an idea, typically a restaurant with 30 items will now have 6 to 9 items. So that's
wow.
Just to save.
Wow.
And,
Rommel?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just wanted to go back to the point you were asking, who will make it in terms of mortality rates. Now, who will make it? I don't think it's according to category. I think the people who will make it are those with enough cash runways. Because at the moment, everyone is hemorrhaging. Those with enough retained earnings to take them to the next month and the next month and the next month will be the ones who will make it. Those
which unfortunately means the small guys will be the first to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they will be swallowed up. They will be lucky if they get swallowed up by a big firm.
Okay.
That's why it's very important now for us to move from competition to collaboration. Yun yung ina-advocate namin ngayon sa industriya for us to get together and to help the smaller players, the medium players, and all those who need help, no? Whether it be mentoring, whether it be best practices, kailangan talaga mag-band together. Because for the government to help us, kami muna dapat mag-organize, and then ang wish ko talaga makonsulta yung mga taga-industriya before policies are made.
Right.
Now I'm curious what kind of scenarios we're looking at by the end of the year for the food industry. Kasi I don't suppose you're expecting a vaccine by the end of the year. So for all you know, baka tuloy-tuloy pa itong gantong patakaran for the next 6 months. So scenario-wise, what are we looking at?
Easily 50% of restaurants will close. So we have 16,300 restaurants at the moment. We'll be lucky to be left with 8,000 at the end of the tunnel.
Rommel, would you
unfortunately
Rommel, would you dare to be more optimistic than that?
Again, ang forecast ko is based on adjustment. So those we will adapt na tatanggapin nila na hanggang walang vaccine, it will be delivery and carry out only. Yun yung mga magso-survive hanggang December. Bulk orders will happen, of course, with parties. Just have to adjust. Pagka pinaktorin mo kagad yung dine-in, dine-in will only happen pag meron ng vaccine. Yung totoong dine-in na it's worth doing. So I think it's about adjusting to the new normal as dictated dun sa bagong business model.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that means massive cost cutting, no, Rommel? So that's just the reality we have to face.
Naku, nawala yung appetite ko.
We were hoping to end on a good note kasi puro masarap kumain itong mga kasama natin dito. Pero wala talaga.
Yeah.
Pero anyway, maraming salamat po for joining us. Si Rommel Nang at si Andy Masigan. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Maraming
Pleasure.
salamat.
And that will be all for this edition of the Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Ed Lingao for News.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Luchi Cruz Valdez of News 5.
And I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News.